future is here. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. The game changer is here. Card Ladder.
Hey everyone, this is Josh back with Cardboard Chronicles. Today I'm joined by Dustin, aka LJ Rookie Card Vault. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm excited to have a LeBron guy. Obviously, it's been a little while since I've had a LeBron collector, so we gotta stick together here. So why don't you kick us off? Tell us about yourself and your background in the hobby.
Absolutely. I'm one of the older guys in the hobby, I guess you'd say. I started collecting probably when I was in college in the early '90s. I was in college, and right down the street from the college was a card shop. And I went in one day and got to talking to the owner, and he said, "Hey, you want a job here?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I mean, you know," and so I actually worked for store credit. I didn't even work for money. I think it was like I was only making like $5.50 an hour or something. And so I'd work there after school and help him, and he would give me deals, obviously. And that kind of got me into it. And then I started going back to my mom's house and looking up in the attic, like the old story goes. Everybody does that, and found I don't know if you remember the old sports card lockers, the little blue with the whatever. Yeah, I opened them up, and unfortunately, my brother and I started collecting in '81. Not unfortunately, but we had a lot of '81 basketball in there. We had a lot of '81 football. Had about 2 Montana rookies that looked like they'd been in, like a bicycle wheels. But from that point forward, I just started going, to card shops. Card shows back then were just, there was 3 a weekend, wherever you wanted to go. And there in Nashville, there's a flea market that happens every weekend on Murfreesboro Road. Nobody probably knows what that is, but it's like an inside card shop, and they just have it all weekend. I bought my first big purchase there. I was just married, like 92, I guess. And I bought a Jordan rookie. It was in the old top loaders, had the gold rookie card on top, and it probably was a PSA 6. I mean, there's no way. But at the time, there was no PSA. It was just, it was exciting. I paid like $850 for it. And at the time, that's a lot of money. I mean, I put it on a credit card. It was just crazy at that time. And so I kept it for a few years, kept working at the card shop, sold it. At the card shop, of course, it led into the 92 area when Shaq was big, and it was booming. I mean, everybody wanted Shaq, and Harold Miner was big then. And, it was like crazy, crazy for then, not crazy like now. But yeah, and so I worked there all through college, and then had a family like everybody else and got out of it. And then back in 2000, probably 10, I started looking on the internet, just trying to find places to talk cards. And I stumbled upon the PSA boards. That was the only thing I knew about then. Got on there. There wasn't a big basketball following then, because basketball back then was just not real popular. Some of the older stuff was, but nothing new. It was just not. And so I met a bunch of friends there, went to my first national in Chicago, met a few of those guys, still friends to this day. Most of them were baseball guys. And so I was still mainly into basketball. I never owned a baseball card. I never collected a baseball card. Just always gravitated toward basketball. Fast forward a little bit, I bought a Bird rookie, Dr. J rookie, both in a PSA 9. I paid like $1,300 for my Dr. J rookie, and about $800 for my Bird Magic rookie. And kind of gravitated toward PSA because of PSA board. So I don't have anything against BGS. I like BGS, but I'm just a PSA guy. I just like to stick with PSA, and kind of limits what I buy. But anyway, I ended up selling those, making deals, bought my wife a car. We all were talking about the crossover last night about, wives not agreeing it. She didn't understand it, probably like yours. But after I bought her a car and paid cash for it, she was like, "Oh, I like this." Just so anytime I spend money now, she's like, "You know what you're doing, just do it." And so fast forward, 2014 or 13, I guess, I bought my first LeBron card. It was a black refractor, PSA 10. I paid $800, $850, something like that for it. Didn't think much of it. Was going to the National in 2014. I think it was when LeBron in Cleveland, when LeBron was coming back to Cleveland. And a collector put it on eBay. I put it on eBay for an outrageous amount. Some guy responded and said, "I'll give you $4,200 for it." And I was thinking, wow, I've made tons of money on this card. I'm going to sell it. I'm still, not really into LeBron. I didn't think anything about it. So I sold it, thought I made, just tons of money. And so it did well on it. But, and then so I started gravitating toward Jordan because everybody loved Jordan. And so usually from 2012 or 2011 National in Chicago, I bought a Jordan PSA 10 rookie from Memory Lane. I remember going over the whole room. I went through 3 of them and found the best one. I paid $9,500 for it. It was the most money I've ever spent on anything other than a car or a house. And people thought I was nuts. All the friends from the PSA board there, and they were excited for me, but they didn't understand what I was doing. And kind of from a financial standpoint and kind of from just, I like Jordan. And so from that point forward, from 2011 probably to 2017, I collected anything Jordan. I tried to collect all PSA 10 Jordans from 86 through 93. So I had every insert, if there wouldn't be parallels then, but every insert, every card, whether it's base, I don't care if it was a Topps or Fleer or whatever, in a PSA 10. So it's kind of cool just to do that. And I kind of ran into a buzzsaw because I just ran out of stuff to collect. There was just nothing there. Then bring in 2018 when LeBron went to the Lakers, I'm thinking, it would be so much fun to collect somebody that actually plays, because I love Jordan. I still think, there's a debate on the GOAT or not. I have a ton of friends that will argue because, one of my good friends, Francis, the Landman 242 on IG, he grew up in Cleveland. I understand him. He thinks LeBron's the GOAT. And I can say 1A, 1B. That's what I say. So anyway, I sold all my Jordan stuff except for my rookie. I traded it, started collecting LeBron rookies, started off with the base like everybody does because it was affordable. And at that time, it was still really affordable. I mean, you could get most base rookies for $200 or $300. It was pretty cheap. I think on my Topps base, I think I paid like $225 for it. And so I kind of got going in that, and then all I had left was my Jordan rookie and a few LeBron bases. And so then I made a big deal with Mike Kantz to sell my Jordan rookie. I sold it way too low, obviously, on what it's worth now. But the way I look at that is I threw all that money back in LeBron stuff. I took all that money, started buying higher LeBrons and kind of building up the ladder. That's the way all new collectors do. Everybody thinks everybody comes in and buys a $30,000 card. I've never really thought about buying a $30,000 card. And really still have never bought a $30,000 card. I mean, I always trade and add money to it and that kind of thing. So, but that's kind of where I went. And then I got on IG in 2018. My wife thought I was nuts. I'm 50 years old. They think, why are you on IG? That's a kids or whatever. My daughter makes fun of me because she's 15 and she's like, I only have 200 followers. What's going on? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's just my card page, And so that's kind of where it was kind of weird for me because I didn't know anything about IG. I didn't know how to operate that. I mean, I knew how to use a phone, but I didn't, what is it? And so that was probably the best thing I ever done for the hobby. That was, I mean, by far it really got, me started, the passion, to find people, to find deals, to meet friends. Met a ton of people on there. There is some flakes on there, as you know. There's a lot of scoundrels I know, but it's been really good. I've met tons of great people, including yourself and just people that can help me along the way. And I didn't, I'm so focused, because I really only do LeBron rookies. I bought a few, I bought 2 or 3 2012 Prism LeBrons at $120 a piece a year or so ago, and traded them to Mike Kantz when I was making a deal with him. It's funny because he seems to get all the LeBron stuff. I don't know if it's just because I have a relationship with him, but it seems like probably a fourth of my collection came from him. A lot of it's eBay, obviously, but it seems like less and less eBay now. eBay's just so hard to navigate. It's just one of those things. And it's just, you want to be fair in the deal. It's emotional. I've seen you make deals at the National. It does get emotional. It's, if you have to overpay now, for a lot of my LeBrons, I overpaid at the time. I thought I was nuts, but it's really, it can't, to get them nowadays, you have to, because people put a value on a card that's so much more, they think it's so much worth more, and they're probably right, because I don't know how many times I've texted with a guy or I've messaged with a guy, and he's like, I shouldn't sell this, there's no way this is, I'd be nuts to sell this card, it's going to be worth this, this, and this in a few years. And then you have to come back and go, yeah, maybe so, but it's funny too. I was talking about making deals, and we were talking about this. It's like you have to slow play it. When you talk to somebody, you can't just come in aggressive and say, I'll give you this much money for this card. It's almost an emotional attachment for them because they know it's going to be worth more. Do they need the money for something else? You don't want to take advantage of them, but you just kind of slow play. You can't be aggressive. I might text a guy and then a day later, 2 days later, reach back out to him. And I mean, some of my cards here, it's like this, it's my X-Fractor, my 9. I worked on that card probably for, can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah, I probably worked on that card at the time I bought it. I worked on that for probably a week and a half with this guy. And he kept saying, oh, you're going to sell this for $20,000 one day. And I'll tell you what really helps. And I'm sure you've seen this. A lot of people, and even some dealers, Mike's that way, at least he appears to be that way. And I think he's genuine. They don't want to sell to a dealer. They want to sell to somebody that has a passion because maybe they had a passion when they collected it. And I think sometimes that helps. If they had a choice to sell it to you or me as a collector or sell it to somebody that's just going to flip it, I think that really holds true for a lot of people. And so that guy particularly, we kept going back and forth, and we were within $200 or $300. It wasn't like it was crazy. And finally, I just overpaid by like $400 just to get him to go. And it's probably worth 4 or 5 times what I paid for it now. And it's just one of those things where you just, and deals don't come up that often anymore. You have to get them when you can get them. Because if you don't buy them now for some of the high dollar stuff and even some of the mid-level stuff, you just don't see anymore. And being PSA guy only hurts me a little bit because, I've had a few I've cracked out of BGS to try to get PSA, and I've even taken some lower grades in PSA. This was my Topps Red to 225. That card right there, it was a BGS 9 raw that I bought from Chris at Quick Consignments. I paid like $800 for it, cracked it, and Mike Kent submitted it to National, and it came back a 9. So sometimes I take chances, and then I have some cards that this card here is Black Diamond. It's a number 1 to 25. It was a BGS 9. Now it was a lower sub BGS 9, and it went down to a PSA 8, and it didn't really bother me. It wasn't one of those cards that, Yeah, if I'm a PSA guy, and sometimes people look at a PSA 8 as a BGS 9, just depending on what it looks like. A lot of people tell me if I want to sell it one day, maybe go back to BGS on certain stuff or try to. It just depends on the card. One of my favorite cards. Okay, well, let's start with this. So the last National, I made the biggest deal I ever made. Of course, my window was closed on getting Exquisite. I think you had just got yours. The RPA, or maybe did you get it after the National last year?
A little bit after, yeah.
A little bit after, yeah. And so you knew as well as I do that Exquisites, you only get so many chances. Somebody told me the other day, there's 400 something of them, and you just don't get a big chance. So I saw an Exquisite I wanted. It was a PSA, which was very rare. It was really one of the only cards in the whole room in Chicago. And so I just sat back over in the corner, pulled out all my cards. I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. And I went over and made the deal. It was like one of the biggest deals I ever made. The guy had valued it like $28,000, $29,000. And so it was another one of those situations where I almost had to just stay there and just not beg, but just kind of say, look, I want this card. Here's what I'm willing to do. And then if I have to throw an extra $1,000 card here, $1,000 card here, I will. And so it's my patches card. Now, it's not the best patch in the world. I wish it was more colorful, but at least we know it's not fake, right?
You're making me want to send all my stuff to PSA.
Yeah, and it was one of my favorite. I mean, obviously my biggest deal, and this used to be a BGS 9 as well, because just like we talked before, I went on WorkPoint, found it there. It was a BGS 9. Don't really know where you got it. Here's another card. This is an example. Like last July, which I was at the beach on vacation, and a guy was selling a raw card, a card I'd never seen before. It's not super rare. It's not numbered. But he was selling on eBay, so I wrote him. I said, "Hey, what's the story?" And he gave me the same old story. I went back to my parents, found a few LeBrons. I heard there were whatever. And some people think that's BS, but I think that is really true a lot of times. And this was one of them. I bought it raw, took a chance, paid $800 for it, and it's a card you don't see a lot. It's a UD glass. It's a really cool card, and that came back a 10. I mean, I just was like, I felt like if it came back a 9, I'll keep it, even if I figured if he can sell it for that raw, I can sell it for raw. So I figured I'd take the chance. That actually, here's one of my favorite cards. It's only a pop 1. There's none higher. I'm sure you've seen this card before. It's a Secret Weapons, the 23. It's just a beautiful, I know you like shine cards. It's in hand, it's a really, really pretty card. That's a card, of course it doesn't matter the grade. Another card, yeah, Patrick, I know 8209, I don't know if you know Patrick. You know Patrick, yeah. So Patrick, we were on a message one night. We were watching basketball this past summer, or it wasn't this past, right before the shutdown. And he messaged, said, "Hey, a card just popped up on eBay." And he said, they want $300 for it or whatever. And I was like, okay, what was it? And it's the logo card. And they never come up. Yeah, they never come up. And then I bought it, and then I thought I was going to offer the guy because he had a best offer. And then they kept saying, just buy it. You got to buy it. Somebody's going to get it. And how many times have we done that before? I'm sure you've looked at it and thought about looking at offering it. Next thing you know, somebody hits buy it now. And I think that card's doubled in value. I bought this raw at the show last year, and I had to pry that guy out of this guy's hands, and it was a risk too. I mean, just to buy a raw exquisite.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
I remember
it was raw, and I remember when I bought it, it was like the guy goes, "I'm sure you've dealt with these kind of people before." It's like, "Oh, I don't want to sell that." That's and I don't know if they're saying that because they want to sell it, and then you just start throwing numbers out. And I think because I got some success early on, I really saw things coming, and I hoped I saw things coming. And I thought, and everybody's always told me, if you want it, buy it. Because, and for the most part, I think for everything I bought, I haven't lost money on. I mean, obviously we lose money sometimes. Here's another card you don't see a lot. The Ruby Patchworks. That's the 50. I got that from Mike. I had to trade 2 or 3 of my 2012 Prisms for that, which at the time they're only worth $120, which they went up. Probably my favorite, besides the big ones. I mean, one of my favorite cards that you just never see is this. It's the 50 a patch, and it's I bought that on PWCC a year and a half ago, I guess, and it's just one of my favorite patches. I think what else I've got. Obviously, this is the card I just got from Mike, and I upgraded my SPX9 for a 10. It's funny because you'll post this picture on Instagram and people make fun of the auto, but all those autos are bad. I don't know if you've ever owned one. I guess it was his first one. And we talked about it. I think it's his first true RPA. If you want to call it, I guess you call it RPA, even though he signed a piece of paper. Of course, this picture will look familiar. This card's familiar with you. You used to own it, obviously.
I'm going to jump in and ask, you said earlier that it took you some time to kind of build up and how much you spend. And I think a lot of people can relate to, obviously, and especially on Instagram now, everyone sees these super expensive cards and everything's so expensive, but how do you sort of build up to these bigger cards? What's the progression? How do you, is it you building up by buying lower stuff and then sort of using that to leverage up into bigger, or how does that work for you?
Absolutely. Everything, just about every big purchase I've made, I've either traded or I've sold something to build up. And when I had lower end stuff, I mean, I still have some base stuff, but when I got into it 2018, a lot of the base, like we talked, was really, really cheap. You're talking about $300 or $400 and less. And so I bought a bunch of those. Some of the cards are worded as desirable for people. I still try to keep, if it goes with another card of mine, I try to keep it. But yeah, I think we disregard, we see the base going crazy and we think, oh, the base is, it's overpriced. But, that's where people start. And, I never thought I could own cards like this. I was thinking, I'll just own base, and then I started getting more into it. And then once I got the first card that maybe was a medium-sized card to jump up from it, I got the feeling like, wow, I can do this. I can take the base and another card that's a high pop in sales. I can sell it, trade it, and get something else. Because Mike always told me, he's probably told you, I'm sure, but he said, the big stuff you can sell and you can, but you more likely can trade to get it or trade away from it, I guess, if you have it. But the base you always can sell because it just sells. And I think anybody getting in the hobby right now starts off that way. I think whether it's Luka or Zahn or whatever, I think they even start off at the base stuff, and then they start working in the parallels and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the key. That's what I did, and it just, as far as LeBron goes, I think it's amazing that I've done so well over a short period of time because I haven't put a ton of money in. Now might be tougher because you're going to put a little more money into it. But it's all relative because then when you trade those higher base for other cards, they're going up too. So,
but you had like a focus towards it, right? Like you didn't come in and like, do some LeBron, some other things, Luka.
No,
you even said like you sold all your Jordan and you went all in and you focused, and that's I think that's important.
All in on rookie LeBrons. I mean, I just said if I'm going to collect him, and I'm not 22 years old, and not that I'm dying tomorrow, but it's like I don't have as much time either to speculate on Luka that in 30 years from now we can turn and they're already really high. But yes, some cards, yes, I didn't have that kind of time. So I thought, we always talk it's Brady, it's Brady, LeBron, and Jordan. You can't go wrong with either of those three. But I was wanting to, my main reason I wanted to collect a player that still played. I wanted to have more options. With Jordan, you have the star and you have the rookie. That's it. I mean, and so unless you own multiple rookies, I just wanted to have the options, and I loved the options in 2003. I mean, they made so many cards of him just because he was such a phenom. And it's just, I think for any young collector, anybody that's starting out, it's fun to look at the stuff. But look at me. I never thought I would own, a card like some of that I own because I just never thought about that. I just thought I'm going to collect the base, and I'm not going to get into the high stuff. And then started meeting people going, oh, I could trade this, this, and this for this, and then get this, and like, wow. And so it's all about, as well as I do, the high stuff too is what's going to stand the test of time. The lower numbered stuff or, the Topps Chrome stuff. I mean, it's like, I never thought a base Topps Chrome would be $11,000. I just never saw that coming. And some people think it'll be like a LeBron rookie. I don't know. I think the refractor is more like that. But I had to, my refractor, I mean, it's like when I bought that, I paid like $1,000 over for what I should have paid for that card. And, but when I bought it, it was like $5,000. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, it just blew my mind. I have an X-Fractor, which, I decided to get them all. I have a 9 in it. And it's funny because out of all my refractors, I have a little bit more money in this, but then I have a black, obviously. I had to replace the 10 with the 9. I actually bought that on eBay, 2 years ago, I guess. But yeah, talking about what you're talking about, yeah, it's like everybody thinks that you can just come in and start. And some people can. I mean, there's people out there that have millions of dollars, and we have people on IG we know that can just go do that, but we're all not Nat Turners. So, I mean, and I think it makes me appreciate it more, and it's more fun. And I'm really obsessed about keeping a log. I mean, I know everything I paid for the card, what I gave up to get it, the value I gave up to get it. And so I can always go back and go, I traded this card, and this cash for this card. And so it's kind of fun to look at that. Some people don't keep up with that. I mean, I know dealers that don't know what they pay for a card. I don't know how they run a business and do that, but I keep everything on the PSA registry. I'm not really a registry chaser, but I keep all my inventory on there, and I the day I bought it, the day I sold it, if I sold it, I have all my sold cards on there. If I'm bought what I give up to get them, that kind of thing. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of the card ladder before the card ladder, and it's, you know what I'm saying? I keep up with it, look at it. Because I can even go back and look at sold cards that I sold a year and a half ago. So yeah, it's a fun hobby. The people we meet is just, I mean, they're people. They're not, just, I'm sure you get this all the time, but my family, my brother is really bad about it. And he'll kill me for saying this if you ever watch it. People won't watch it. He just thinks it's stupid. He calls me like after the championship, he said, "You sold all those yet?" And I'm like, "No." He goes, "Sell them all. Sell them." And I'm just like, I'm just not that guy. I guess one day we can't be buried with them. I understand we have to sell them, but I'm just not one that's just take them all and sell them. I just, it's just like you probably never had zero in your collection. I mean, since you've been collecting, I doubt you have. But
It's a good thing you didn't listen to him because the stuff's gone way up every time he says it.
No, he told me that last year. I mean, it was like every year or every time I see him, he's like, "You sold those cards yet?" Because they just don't get it. They don't understand it. My other friends that don't collect don't understand it. But it's just, it's fun. I don't gamble. So, I mean, I guess I do on cards, but it's like I don't bust packs. I don't buy the new stuff. That might change at some point, but it's hard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could start talking about even 2004 LeBron, 2005 LeBrons, 2007, 2009. I know a little bit about a few of those, and I can appreciate the cards, but I don't know nothing like I know about the 2003. I just know more about it because that's what I focus on. So they're all pretty cards, and I've almost ventured into some other years. But if I open that up, I don't know what I'm going to do. So
yeah, that's a slippery slope you can't return from.
Yeah. I mean, because one of my friends, Eric, that I don't know if you ever met, you probably met Eric before. He's the bearded guy that has the cowboy hat on at the show every year. He's all over the place at times, and he's like, "I admire your focus." He said, "That's great." Hey. But no, I mean, he's like, "I admire your focus," because some people are all over the place and they just have a little bit of everything and they just don't know what they're doing. And so I just started early on just to stay focused on. I mean, even Francis is that way. He collects other LeBron stuff, but it's just, it's fun and I love it. Like Michael texts me all the time and say, "Hey, what's this worth?" on 03 LeBron, and he could text me on a 07 or a 09. I wouldn't know. I mean, I would have to look it up. So it's kind of fun to keep up with, but no, it's for anybody that's young, like we said, it's just got to stay with it and build up over time. It's not it's a marathon. I mean, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You just got to, be happy with what you got. I mean, I had some lower grades on a lot of these cards that I've upgraded, and I was happy with those, and when I have an opportunity to upgrade, I will. But I try not to get too focused on the grades, but I do realize there's a financial benefit to it. So, but no, yeah, it's just an awesome hobby.
Talk about how you mentioned that you buy a lot of your stuff from a few guys, and it seems like you've got a fairly small circle. I mean, that's probably just because of like who you collect and what you collect. So you just sort of like meet those people, but keeping that small group kind of is nice, right? Like you can make easy deals. Like you don't have to worry about running into shenanigans, and dealing with Mike is obviously extremely easy. And you just like, you're almost willing to pay, like 10% more knowing that it's coming from someone easier, coming from a group you trust, right?
It's like Mike, when he hit the Dallas show last weekend, he texted me and said, "Hey, what's this SPX 10 worth?" And of course, he didn't even know I was interested in it. I think he knew I had an iron, and I told him what I thought it was worth, and I said, my wheels started going in my head. I was like, okay, I'm thinking I want this card, and so we started throwing out scenarios, and I was texting back and forth. He was super busy at the show; it was crazy, and he said, Dustin, he said, "Let's talk a little bit later. We always get it done. Don't worry about it. And I put a high price on it. It's probably not going anywhere. We always get the deal done." So I don't know if I've ever entered in a deal with Mike that I haven't got done. Now, have I paid a little bit more? Maybe, but also know that if I got this card home and I wasn't happy with it, and he even texted me, said, "Did you check it out?" or whatever, he would take it right back. He would just send it all back. It'd be no big deal. It's just, and he's always been that way. It's just, it's for somebody that young, when I say young, that's light years ahead of some of the older dealers that don't know how to handle people and don't know how to make negotiations and all that. It's just amazing. You know, and we talk about that all the time. Like a lot of those cards I got from him that he sold at low prices. And, you know, somebody will say, like my wife said one day, she goes, why would he sell that to you 2 years ago that's, you know, that's went through the roof? And he said, why would he just hang on to it? And I said, well, he's running a business. I mean, you know, he's got to sell stuff and move stuff and inventory and pay bills like all of us do, you know? And so that's why I even thought about getting the business one time. And then I thought, you know, it's just not going to be as fun. I'll have to sell all my stuff. I mean, I'll have to, you know, it's more fun to make money somewhere else and spend it on the hobby than have to give up something because I'm too emotionally tied to it. I'd get a LeBron and I'd be like, I can't sell that. No, I can't sell that. But I have to because, I mean, that's just what you do. But no, Dylan, Mike, and I have a small circle. I mean, it's fun, though, because with IG, too, it's like I can send out a message to you or to Francis or a ton of people and just say, hey, you know anything about this guy? You know, is he a guy that we can deal with? Is he a guy that's hard to deal with? And it's funny because we all talk behind the scenes. There's certain people that are hard to deal with. And you can make deals with them, but it's just tough. They want you to fight them tooth and nail to figure out a deal, and it's just really hard. And they know they are, and they're good at it. And some people will make you turn. Some people you'll be smiling when you leave, and they may take you for some extra money, but you're both happy. And I think that's where the emotion comes in. It's just you just really get tied up in it, and you're like, I'm not letting this car get away, and unless it's just outrageous. But no, I mean, and as back in the day when I collected, there was a lot of dealers that were scrupulous and, you know, you didn't want to deal with them. They were hard to deal with. And now there's just so many great people in the hobby and that are just really good guys and no pressure. You know, but Mike is probably, you know, I'm not trying to pump him up, but most people on IG know he's great to deal with. I've never heard anybody have a bad experience with him. So, and I know you've dealt with him as much as I have.
Yeah, probably not as. I mean, we've done a few, but it seems like you've gotten a lot from him, which is awesome. Yeah,
I have.
One of the better guys.
I mean, really, probably, yeah. Most of my big cards I got from him, and he always says, "Don't come back to me." You don't rub it in when it doubles in value in the next 2 or 3 months, and you know, but I get it, and that's why I'm glad I don't sell cards. So, because I would be and probably like you'd be like, I don't want to let that go. I can't let that go. Like, you know. It's like
we buy LeBron cards like once every month or two at this point now because of how expensive it is, and I think that works in our benefit just because we're just like we've put so much into it. We're less likely to sell it, meaning we're going to hold it longer, and we just like see the full value of it all the way through.
It's actually, you're right. It's like I get disappointed every night. You know, I have eBay searches like everybody else, and every night lay in bed, look at them, and then just disappointed because there's just nothing there. And when stuff does go up, it's just so crazy expensive. And so that's why trading, I think, is great. You know, you can pick stuff you can get stuff in a trade that you couldn't go pay cash for. And that's what I try to do. So, yeah.
The consolidation game has always been my favorite. You and I kind of do it the same. You build up, buy stuff, and then something big comes along finally, and then you sell it all back and get the big one. Yeah.
And, you know, in my case, and probably your case, I've let some things go. I've never sold a LeBron card since he signed the Lakers in 2018. I've never traded or sold a LeBron card that I didn't regret it because I got something else that didn't go up tremendously. And it was just like, you know, should I just kept it and paid cash, you know? But just like all of us, we all have disposable income, and you know, we're not going to pay our house note or sell our, you know, to use our house money or whatever I'm saying. It's just, you just don't do that. So at least I don't. Some people might, but yeah, I have a lot of regrets in those, but nothing, as long as I'm getting something in return and I love it, it doesn't matter.
Well, there's been a ton of awesome nuggets in this. I hope people have picked up a lot of cool stuff. The one thing I've noticed is like patience. I think you have a lot of that, friendliness. Like I think you're one of the better guys in the hobby, and just like being kind of calm and friendly and approachable. And I think that's really awesome. So there's a lot to go here. Any like last minute words for anybody?
I think that's it. Pretty much covered. I appreciate you having me on. I was flattered the other day. I know you laughed, and I was like, you know, but I watch these all the time, and it's like Francis will call me and say, "Hey, you catch the last one?" And that guy was great, or whatever. And so I was flattered, just because, there's so many people that's got more than me. And that's one thing about the hobby too. You can't get hung up in that, because there's always going to be somebody having more than you. And we get as men, especially, I think we think, oh, we got to have the best and the most. And that's not true. And some of the guys that have a lot of money and that we know in the hobby, they get as excited about a $200 card or a $100 card. And so I love that about the hobby. So, but yeah, just be patient. You still can grow a collection. I think we're going to have some dips. It's going to go back down. But yeah, just thanks for having me on.
Of course, dude. Awesome stuff. We'll talk soon. All right.
All right, buddy. Thanks.